on to Bad Batch episode 3.
Oh,
Shout out the homie Dave. My guy does not miss. He simply does not.
he really doesn't. And the first thing, visually style of this episode, the colors, like I loved it.
Yeah. So for a Bad Batch episode, the Bad Batch were not really in it, other than Crosshair, if you still count him as a Bad Batcher.
Yeah, I mean it's yeah, I know what you mean.
It was interesting because the show up until now has literally just followed their every move. If you're not watching them, you're just watching like a scene without them, not a full episode.
Yeah, we would have like a mix of like Crosshair's POV and
Yeah.
their POV.
But this was very much okay. Since what happened on Camino at the end of season 2, where's Crosshair? Was he ever found? Is he still on Camino? Did he die? What's going on? So we find out that Crosshair eventually got found and saved. He's back with the Empire. We hear some of the other clones talking about that the Senate is voting on.
If they can just recruit people.
Yeah. And it is very interesting because obviously a big talking point was always, well, we know the clone troopers are supposed to be OP, why are the stormtroopers shit in the films? Well, and once again, Dave Fillion has gone, don't worry, I'm going to solve this plot hole.
Well,
so he's made a whole story point around how they went from the clones to kidnapping children and turning them into soldiers.
Well, yeah, and it's also like you'd watch the first trilogy, the 4, 5, and 6, and obviously there was this understanding that stormtroopers weren't all the same. Then we see obviously the prequels and it's clone troopers. So there's this like, at what point did the Empire switch? It's kind of never shown.
Yeah.
It's kind of just like known that at some point they switched to recruiting people. But yeah, Dave's kind of taken it upon it. It's like that thing of he has like a list of things that he wants to just like tie up loose ends and fix, and one being the transition of clones to just soldiers.
Yeah.
And how do we show that?
And it's been done really well so far.
Yeah.
You get to see the clones are obviously concerned about essentially losing their jobs and what that might mean for a clone.
Well, yeah, and it's like even things in, this is like slight track, but like even in Mandalorian, we saw a clone trooper begging, and it shows like the aftermath of like what happened to the clones and stuff. But yeah, nice little touch on that.
Yeah.
We also see that Crosshair is quite clearly an outsider amongst the clone troopers.
Yeah, he's not liked at all. I mean, the Bad Batch were like even during the Clone Wars, they were a bit kind of they're weird.
They're the weird experiment group.
And now they look at him and they go, "Well, the rest of your team fucked off. How can we actually trust you?" As well as being the weird fucking freak from the lab.
Though he knows they've escaped. I guess everyone else thinks they're dead.
Yes. And then we get to find out that Commander Cody's still cutting about.
Yeah, he is.
It's really funny to me that even though we know we're watching the Empire and the clones and all these clones have portrayed the Jedi, that Commander Cody is still so likable.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
It's really well done. It's really well done.
And there was also we see with Commander Cody, like we're seeing back to that transition of clone trooper to stormtrooper. We're seeing the armor change as well now.
Yeah. They're every kind of episode you're getting a little bit closer in the armor.
It's back to the whole thing of Dave's doing before Order 66, after Order 66, what we said. Like that's his cut-off point.
Yeah. As far as Dave is concerned, Order 66 is year 0.
Yes.
Because that is actually the big turning point in the Star Wars universe as we've seen it. So that's where things change. So that's where he's going to use his changes. But the whole premise of the episode is they've gone to one of the separatist planets, ironically, who didn't want to be a part of the Empire, to kind of go, no, we're in charge now. And rightfully so, they've gone, no, fuck you, this is our planet.
Oh, and by the way, we've reprogrammed some drones.
Yeah, I really did enjoy that. And they kidnapped the person who's now supposed to be in charge of that planet. And then Cody, Crosshair, and other unnamed troopers get sent to rescue the governor and
Mhm.
execute the rebellion, essentially.
Yeah, Ben. Essentially, they're like, we are a fake diplomatic convoy, but then the droids kind of already figured that out and start shooting on them anyway. And then classic droid. I love that. Like, we're meant to
The
be done
droids
with
are
the
so
droids,
funny.
but we're back with the droids. And it's like they go to the crash ship and they're like, no survivors, and they just look in, and it's like the whole fucking Roger Roger, and then next second, pew, 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 they're all dead.
Droids are the best form of comedy relief I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, because they're just and
They're
like
just so well done.
yeah, they're great, and it's not it's kind of nice being back with the whole clone troopers versus droids and that
Yes.
little like fight.
It's really interesting because you find yourself rooting for the other side now.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like you start rooting for the clone troopers, and then you're like, wait, no, that's the Empire. No, we want
Hmm.
the droids to win.
Yeah. It was a really good episode.
There
And
was
we
some
get,
cool moments with Crosshair.
yeah, some really cool moments, especially when they were like fighting to take over the bridge and that, and you get to see Crosshair at his real peak of I don't miss bitch.
Well, yeah, there's the bridge, and then up the spiral staircase. The way that
Hmm.
was done and that whole sequence, really well put together.
Yeah. So they managed to get in and find the soon to be governor. And then Cody, the
Yeah,
goat,
actually tries to
uses
take
his
peace as an option.
yeah, he uses his diplomatic powers to kind of go, okay, we can resolve this peacefully, no one has to die. Let
Mhm.
our guy go, we'll work this out. And she does, and you can tell Cody genuinely does want that to be how it goes down.
Well, yeah, because I think although they're like the Order 66 thing, they're still that's just one part that was rewired in them.
And this is what I'm saying. This is the big thing that I think is going to be a big overarching. Yes, all of the troopers believed in 66 because they were bred to. But
Mm.
after that, the order's worn off. Yeah, they're going to execute Jedi's on sight, but it's almost like they were put in a hypnosis to execute the Jedi's. Now they're out of the hypnosis and they're thinking freely again.
Well, it's
They're
like
starting to question the morality of what they're being told to do.
it's the whole thing of like Order 66 is a command. That command was understood, um, done to the best of every clone's ability. As far as they're aware, they have killed pretty much every Jedi. That was a successful mission. Back to carry on whatever that what's our next mission. But then as soon
Yeah,
as that happens, it's like, well, we still think the same as we did before.
yeah.
Like, although our
The
new
the
thing is
only
we're being told Jedi are bad now.
yeah, the only difference is they believe that executing the Jedi was the right thing to do.
Mm,
And they
yes.
believe the Empire is now the rightful person in charge. But now that that's happened, they're looking through essentially clear lenses at their bosses and going, "Hold the fucking phone here." Because I mean, there was times in even the Clone Wars where the clones weren't happy with what the Jedi were asking them to do.
Yeah, the Jedi were like getting a bit in a grey area about things and stuff.
Yeah, and the clones be like, "Whoa, are we sure about this?" So it
Yeah.
shows like the clones do have a bit of their internal moral compass. They aren't just robots.
Well, that's
So
what
I think
sets
we're
them
starting
apart,
to
right?
see, yeah, we're starting to see this whole their fog has cleared a little bit, and they're going, "Why are we being asked to just execute people? The
We
fuck's going on?"
also there was a bit of like a hint that there's more clones are starting to go AWOL. And
Hmm.
then obviously we get this moment with Cody and then Crosshair. Cause he's such a loyal boy to the cause, just executes the woman
Yeah.
and doesn't give two shits. Um,
That then we get, I think, which is going to be the most like the pinnacle of the episode once they get back to.
mm,
I think it was Coruscant where they're based, wasn't it?
um, it must be at this point.
It looked like it. Definitely
I'm
wasn't
not.
Camino.
No. No.
And they go past like the monument built for all the clones who died during Order 66, I assume.
Yeah.
Um, and he kind of went, "Do you think we're still the good guys?" And that really does put this Dave going. If you haven't worked it out yet, this is the theme this series. Question the moral leaders and make sure you actually do agree with what they want.
Well, yeah, it's
Because
the
Dave doesn't hide the fact that Star Wars is inherently political as fuck.
yeah, it's that split. This whole season is going to be the split of clone trooper, like Order 66 isn't actually something that controls the clones. It was just a command, and that's ended now, and they have morals. And you're going
Mm-hmm.
to see where the fans probably thought some of their favorite clone troopers were now the baddies. I think we're going to start to see some of them actually still pretty good guys. Because
Yeah,
the next thing we see is the next day mirror of just like in like a soldier's life of like routine, everything the same. Crosshair's awake, his alarm goes off, he goes, eats his food, gets called to the office. Mirror image of the thing before. And then he gets told to report to a different clone, to which he then brings up, wait, not Commander Cody, who the guy in charge doesn't know he doesn't know him by name. He's like, he has
yeah.
to say clone trooper, whatever number.
Whatever his number was, yeah.
And then he goes, oh, he's gone AWOL last night.
Yeah. It's going to be a really really interesting series, and I'm looking forward to how this story gets put across because so far it's coming across really nicely, and I think it's only going to get better.
Yeah, there's going to be,
And
I
do you know
think,
what it shows once again? The Empire could have been successful if they used their brain. If they didn't ask the clone troopers to execute random civilians, they would have been able to keep them under control because they have no problem following orders. It's they don't want to murder innocents for no fucking
yeah,
reason they have
but
an issue with.
the Empire wants to rule with fear because it's Sith
Exactly.
led. And unfortunately, that doesn't work.
But
So it's,
very very good episode,
yeah,
and I'm we've got 13 more episodes. I
yeah,
cannot fucking
brilliant
wait.
episode. I'm all for these, like, not 100% focused on Bad Batch and some of
Yeah,
these side characters. And also, like, I said at the beginning, but like the visuals of this episode and the color palette for the planet that they were on, like, definitely felt like a step up from some of these past animated Star Wars stuff. Like, it feels like they're
the
really starting to
animation
push it.
quality is really high.
Yeah, so I can't wait for this the whole season's going to be beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.